Hey, Charles Van Morgan Show, Unbridled News. So we have a great show for you today. Look at the beautiful American flag. We're going to talk about wrecking the political machine. It's in full play right now as you see the big power players campaigning for the candidates that will represent them when they get in public office, will represent the interest of the elite, not the interest of you, the people, and that's what I'm here for. So today we're going to talk about wrecking the political machine of the elite, what we need to do to become viable, and how I need your help. And also we're going to discuss the local sheriff's race. Got some inside information, and we're going to talk about that, some of the corruption inside the sheriff's department. So the sheriff's department is supposed to fight crime. They need to fight some of their own criminal activity within the agency. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about this morning. So come on board, we got some notes. We're going to talk about the sheriff of the state of Tennessee, the crooked Matt Perry. We're going to talk about how he got his position, and we're going to weigh in on the sheriff's race. So we've got a great show for you today. Welcome, come on in. Thank y'all so very much for joining us. This is none other than Charles Van Morgan. We appreciate y'all's participation and listening to us. Yesterday was a great show. We had 24,000, almost 25,000 people yesterday. So let's have another great show today. Welcome, come on in. And we're going to have a great time. Got a bunch of notes for you. We're headed down to our signature location. So let's look at the beautiful American flag. Welcome. Got a great show as we are going to discuss America. We're going to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene in the news, and the beautiful flag. God bless this country, and God bless Israel. We pray for the peace of Israel, and we pray for the peace of America. So we're going to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene in the news, doing the news media thing, bashing the United States of America. Upholding the political parties is exactly what she's doing, rather than the will of the people. And we're going to talk about that this morning, about bashing the political machines. Now, she's upholding the political machines. We're going to explain to you exactly how she's doing that on the news. You know, running the major news outlets, speaking out against America. Now, she's not framing it that way, but I'm telling you the way it is. This is unbridled news. So we're going to weigh in on the sheriff's race, but hold on just a second. First, we're going to show you a sign. We're going to weigh in on the sheriff's race by showing you a sign and also talking a little bit about the sheriff's race. So we have some good inside information. Let's go back here and show you a sign of who I would personally support. So here's the sign right here. So we got some good information, people inside the department. Real good man inside the department. Hello, America, that's right. From Russia Federation, hello. Your president is our pet. Yeah, I don't believe that. My president is Michael Jordan. Yeah, he said have fun. So that's who I support in the sheriff's race. And we're going to weigh in on the sheriff's race here in Knox County, Tennessee. And we got some good inside information from a great sheriff's deputy, and I have a lot of great ones, about who to vote for from inside information. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about wrecking the political elite and how we're going to do that, and why we need to do it, and the substantial ways that they back the parties above the people. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing that right now. She's out making the rounds in the news media, not even in the government anymore, backing the parties, probably going to try to run again, bashing America, standing up for the party elites and stepping on Americans. So she was on TV the other day on Con News Network, of course, the news network that hates America, that hates you, that hates me, that hates anybody that stands up for America First values, alleging that she's America First, and literally stepping on the blood of soldiers. And I'll tell you what she's doing, and this is bashing the political party machine, is what I'm doing today. We don't need to go along with the machine. I'm not part of the political party machine in Tennessee. I'm part of you all. I represent the mass populace of great Tennesseans, the mass populace of great Americans, and I represent people all over the world that want peace and prosperity for the populace, not a rogue government that is religious, teaching Islamic jihadism, terrorism. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, we got a bunch of notes we'll show you at the bridge. So hold on, great show. Marjorie Taylor Greene on CNN, and I'll post the link, is trying to bash Donald Trump, the President of the United States, saying that he lied on the campaign, promising that he would keep us out of foreign wars, and literally made the statement that now, in the midst of the elections, I couldn't believe she said that. I mean, if you listen to somebody long enough, you can tell what they're actually about, what their goal's about. They let their self shine. They expose their self. They expose their nasty, stinky self. And that's what she's doing, exposing herself. She literally said that Donald Trump should not have gotten us in that foreign war that he promised that he wouldn't get us into, because of the fact that there is elections going on, primary elections in the United States government for the Republicans, and that would hurt their chances of being elected. I mean, she literally said that. So if you see what I'm saying, we should not get in a foreign war. Now, forget about the reasons. I'll mention that in a second. But we should not get in a foreign war, regardless of the reasons. I mean, regardless, that's out of the picture. And you can take that out because of politics, because it will hurt the Republicans' chances of getting reelected. Now, that's just complete insanity. And she exposed herself by saying that because of the party machine, because a foreign war hurts the party machine, regardless of the reasons, even if they're legitimate. And she tried to say that they weren't, that it's not, but I believe that it is. But regardless of that, she's trying to say that even if it was legitimate, her first main point was that we shouldn't be involved in a war, because of a political party will lose. People will lose an election in the Republican Party. Wow. So we should worship the political parties and stay in wars or not in wars because of elite people being able to win their positions. So it's not about protection of America. It's not about protection of our soldiers. It's not about making sure more soldiers don't get killed. It's about maintaining the elite populace in power and doing whatever needs to be done at the time to keep these people in power. Now, she literally said that. She just spilled the beans, didn't she? Tell us what she's about. She's about the elite Republican Party to keep them in power. Wow. Wow. So I'm glad that we have a president right now that is concerned about the political parties. He is, but he is more concerned about the survival of Americans, and also possibly revenging the blood of soldiers. That about 600 died from roadside bombs that were supported and pushed by the uranium regime in Afghanistan. About 600 soldiers were killed by roadside bombs. Iran, a state sponsor of terrorism in Afghanistan, killed a soldier I know by a roadside bomb provided by Iran and their state-sponsored terrorism in Afghanistan. Patrick Fitzgibbon, a U.S. Army PFC soldier, was 19 years old, joined the Army to protect America. He wanted to come back, and he had asked Michelle if I would help him get on with the Highway Patrol after he served a term in the military. And I would have gladly done that. Highway Patrol loves military people. That's one of the things that they do good. They need military people, and they also need well-educated people too. But that is one thing they do right. This is unbridled news. I'll talk about the truth. But Marjorie Taylor Trader Greene, stepping on the blood of soldiers. We don't care that they sponsor terrorism, and American soldiers could continue to be killed worldwide because of their state sponsor of terrorism. She believes, and she said, I'll post the link, to just expose her crooked, dirty, self-righteous self, saying that we should not be involved in that war, not mentioning the reasons, because it hurt the political party. She literally said that. Let's wreck these political parties. If these political parties get to decide when we don't go to war, not based on America's interest, the interest of the populace, then we need to get rid of these political parties. If they refuse to go to war to protect their votes because it's unpopular for a time at the time of election, then damn, we're not going to war so they can maintain their offices and keep their elite power. Thus you see the wrecking ball of a man that represents the Republican Party in Knoxville, Knox County. And he's open territory for criticism. I mean, he's putting himself out there campaigning for a political candidate for mayor, Knox County mayor. So hello, Mr. Haslam, Mr. Has-Been. And you know what our president thinks about you? You're a weak, dirty coward. And you know what other billionaires say about you? They say that you're not an honest man. And he's going to stand out here and tell you who to vote for mayor. Now, I'm not going to mention the mayor's name. I wouldn't vote for him. He's going to represent the party elite. So Marjorie Trader Greene, in her audacity, is trying to say that she disagreed with Trump, and Trump hung her out. She hung herself out because of the Epstein files. Wow. Now, the Epstein files, while makes great news, is not a matter of public concern for most of mass Americans, most mass Tennesseans. And that's not a battle that I would park on, because although important to fight, but that doesn't help your grocery prices. That doesn't protect citizens. That doesn't build hospitals. That's something that went on in the upper echelons of our government officials all across the world that needs to be dealt with. But it's not a issue that people discuss when they're talking about when their check comes in and there's not enough money to buy food, clothes, and medical care and send their children to college. That's not an issue. And that's what they're parking on. She's saying that Mr. Trump disagreed that those Epstein files shouldn't have been made public. Well, he signed the papers to allow all of the Epstein files to be released. While the news media is going through those Epstein files, there are soldiers coming back in body bags protecting America. And that is the concern to me, not that they shouldn't be over there fighting. I agree with the war. I agree with that. And she is saying that we had no reason to go to war, that has not been made clear. I mean, wow, what a farce. It has been made very clear why we are in Iran, flying over there, bombing them every day, trying to keep the straits open to get oil through for other countries and America, because it is impacting gas prices in America, but for the sovereignty of America, to prevent us from getting a nuclear weapon aimed at America, which is what they would do. They said that they would, that to America. And so we're over there because of about half a century of threats and activity and a murderous regime that was enriching uranium, trying to destroy half of the Middle East and going to destroy America. And that's quite clear. We're in Iran to protect America. And also we're protecting the sovereignty of the right of Israel to be a nation, which is not an absurdity. They have a right to be a nation. So Marjorie Taylor Greene was trying to build up the political parties. And that's what this election is about in Tennessee. It's about the political parties, the people in the government, versus you, the people, the mass populace of the state of Tennessee. That's me and you. Now, these people in political parties know that Tennesseans don't trust people in the government. They don't trust the party elite. And they're trying to frame themselves as outsiders. And they're literally in the government. That's a hard trick to sell. They're literally in the government, and they're selling themselves as outsiders fighting the government when they're in the government. They're part of the elite political establishment that is behind and with and supported in every way by crooked Mr. Bill Haslam, who got rich off poor convenience store workers and their bodies, which is quite literally, frankly, 100% the truth. I know that because I have a degree where I studied stuff at the University of Tennessee, and he has no degree from UT. He has his name bought with money on a building, which is what they do. They buy power, and they buy elections, and that's what he's trying to do now. Put himself out there in the middle of a election, trying to get a county mayor elected to do what Bill Haslam wants done, to possibly lower taxes for him, make rules and laws that benefit him, and make rules and laws that control you and only benefit the power elite, because he's one of them. And if you are a Republican, Mr. Bill Haslam and the Knox County Republican Party doesn't even represent Republicans, according to Donald J. Trump. Mr. Haslam represents Governor High Bills Lee, who represents, well, we're not going to be able to get across this road this morning, who represents, you got to do it safely, who is represented and supported and funded by, my sign's on, who's represented and funded, let's get across this road here, who's represented and funded by, I got out of my taxes when I was in government office. Former Governor Bill Haslam, which is what he did. When he was in government office, he's on the screenshot, if you can see, we're wrecking his, symbolically, we're wrecking his political establishment, wrecking his Republican Party in Tennessee, political establishment that represents the elite, that's willing to say, don't go to war if it hurts if you need to for the safety of Americans, if it hurts our political party's chances of staying in power. And if you do things their way, you're not going to have a country. And they're so stupid, they're not going to have a country to be in power. I guarantee you, if you ask former Governor Bill Haslam if he supported American soldiers in their effort to protect America from the terrorist Islamic Republic that was enriching uranium to aim at America, that he would say that we had no reason to go to war, and he don't support that war by, call it Donald Trump's war, when it is our war, it's Americans' war that had to be fought. So he does not represent the Republican Party. I actually represent the Republican Party. So if you're a Republican, I represent you. They don't. They represent the elite establishment that pins Republican on them so that they can get your vote and get elected. They don't represent Republicans. They represent themselves, and they lie to you, and they don't care about your safety. They'd rather get elected than worry about your safety. And they're so stupid that it's their safety too, but they don't care about that. That's how dumb they are. They're stupid billionaire idiots that are drunk on power, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to control the government and have power. They have money and they want power. And that's wrong. And that's what I'm fighting. For you, the mass Tennesseans. So Marjorie Taylor Greene says we shouldn't go to war to protect America because the Republicans will lose power in the United States government. So don't worry about the sovereignty of America. Worry about the political party. That is elevated. The elite's elevated to do whatever it takes for us to get in power. If it causes us to lose power because we go to war to protect Americans, which is why we are at war in Iran, war is a good thing. According to the Bible, everything's good in its time. There's a time for war. This is time for war, so this is a good time. War's a good thing. I mean, you know, insane liberals, and I represent some liberals too. They have some good ideals, but the insane liberals would say there's never any time to go to war. Don't do it at all. And wow, you're going to be dead if you never go to war. The time to go to war is when you're protecting your lives and the lives of Americans. So there is a time to go to war, and there's a time of war even in the Bible, a book of love. God loves the world, and he says there's a time of war on this planet. We're not in heaven yet. And it even says he's made everything for a time of war. This is a time of war. And he said he made everything good in its time. So this is a good time of war. And this is not only a good time of war for the country against Iran, it is a good time of war, political warfare, against a political elite party that will do anything, even risk the safety of American and Tennesseans to stay in power. And that's what we're up against. It is us, the mass populace of Tennesseans, the mass populace of Americans. Help us fight this fight in Tennessee, even if you don't live in Tennessee, because we're going to spread this movement nationwide and worldwide. It's the peace and prosperity of even Iranian citizens that have been under a dictatorship, a Islamic jihadist Republic of Iran that is for killing all non-believers. And they've been under that dictatorship since about the 1970s. They used to have a government where they had freedom, where they had rights. You look at pictures in the 70s, and they had rights. And they have been slowly taken over by a false religion, and that is for genocide of all non-believers in the world. They want to kill everybody. They want to take over the world with their false beliefs, with their false religion. Islam is a false religion. The Quran is a false book. That guy said that. That's true. Now, should people have religious freedom in the United States? Absolutely. Should they have the religious freedom to kill other people? Absolutely not. That's where it crosses the line. When you start taking actions and preparing for killing Americans. A lot of our cities have been taken over by Islam and their beliefs that they keep secret. They're not going to tell you they want to kill you, but they do. They do. It's in their book, in the Quran. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene is out supporting the elite power mongers, telling us that we should risk the safety of Americans, safety of Tennesseans, in order for the elite to stay in power. Let's wreck that thought. Let's wreck that ideal that the safety of the mass populace of Tennesseans, Americans, comes before keeping the elite in power, and we need to knock the elite out of power so we don't even have that ideal being spread surreptitiously. But she said it. You know, you listen to her long enough, you'll get the truth out of her. She said we had no reason to fight in Iran, that Donald Trump campaigned on no more foreign wars, and that's not true. He campaigned on no more frivolous foreign wars. He campaigned on that Iran would not be allowed to enrich uranium to the point of getting nuclear weapons. So he's not deceptive at all. Not deceptive at all. He told the truth. And he's backing up what he said. And I appreciate and thank him for standing arm in arm with Iran, with Israel, and fighting Iran to protect America first and Israel. And America will be blessed for fighting with Israel. I will bless them that bless you and curse them that curse you is one of the promises in the true book, the Holy Word of God, the Bible. So this country will be blessed because of what we're doing right now. And it's a time of war, and it's a good time. It's a time that God has designed right now that is put into play on the earth by people in government officials, people in power, people in authority. I'm not in authority. I can't declare war. We elected a president that has chosen to send soldiers, a war activity to Iran to protect America, and we should support our soldiers and not worry about politics, and it's bad for the political elite. That's totally absurd, and that's the way they do in Tennessee. Whatever keeps the Haslam regime in office is what they think we need to do. And let's wreck that thought. Let's wreck the parties and vote independent. Vote Charles Van Morgan. And we're going to weigh in on the sheriff's race also when we get down to the bridge. So we'll put the link in where Marjorie Taylor Greene is talking about the elites and how they'll do whatever to maintain power. About 600 soldiers were killed by the state-sponsored terrorism of Iran. You think it's 7 soldiers now have been killed. It was over 600 when we were in Iran. 600 soldiers were killed by Iranian-sponsored roadside bombs. Patrick Fitzgibbon has a bridge named after him on Rutledge Pike. He was killed in Afghanistan by a roadside bomb provided by the Iranian rogue regime, a American soldier, 19 years old, and we're going over there right now and pay back for what they did to 600 other soldiers and Patrick Fitzgibbon, and I thank every one of them. They're not forgotten. Payback and stopping them from killing over 600 soldiers, and more than that, but that's just roadside bombs that they supported, Iranian regime reported in Afghanistan. And if that was all the reason, that's reason enough. They helped kill 600 soldiers. Not to mention the fact that the hostage situation in 1979, 50 years of state-sponsored terrorism all over the world, insidious terrorism, bombs, getting people to commit suicide acts, children murdered. There's a mountain of reasons. Any one of them would have been enough to take that regime out of power. So how can you say, as alleged by her in her fake mouth, false, and I hate to be in her shoes because of what she's doing right now. I'll tell you what that is. How can you allege that we don't have reason, it's not been made clear why we are sending American bombers to bomb the Islamic Iranian regime? I mean, there's multiple reasons. And every news media, they think they can repeat that lie enough to where Americans think, whoa, damn, why are we over there? Well, just look at history, and they're enriching uranium to make a nuclear weapon. And they're shouting death to America. What do you think they're gonna do? And people say, well, we went too early. We didn't know. I mean, do we wait until a missile is over our head and think now's the time to act. I mean, you act before they get the uranium enriched to the level of making a bomb. If you wait till they've already enriched it, it's too damn late then. So it was not too early. There's every reason, very clear. So when the news media says that, and they keep repeating the lie to get people to believe that, there's no reason that we haven't made it clear why we should be over there. There's a lot of reasons. And in combination, we should have been over there years ago. Years ago. And finally, we're over there fighting for the sovereignty of Americans. It is not early. There are plenty of reasons. And thank the good Lord in heaven, we're over there now fighting arm in arm with Israel. Hello. And so her arguments that we shouldn't have went to war because they're enriching uranium, because they've killed 600 American soldiers, state sponsor of terrorism, not to mention the Iranian hostage crisis in 1979, 50 years of terroristic activity, insidious suicide murders, a state sponsor of terrorism, the attack on Israel when they come across the border, killed men, women, and children, rape, murder, innocent civilians in Israel. Just a couple of years ago, Iran sponsored, trained those people to do that. There's a lot of different reasons. That's absurdity. And to say that we shouldn't went over there because war looks bad politically, well, I could care less war looks bad politically. If you're running to protect the American political system, we need to fight for the sovereignty, safety, protection of America. We don't need to fight to protect the political system. The political system can go to hell. We need to protect America. And that's the problem. These political systems have got so powerful that they're even dangerous to themselves. So she's out preaching the message to do whatever it takes to keep us in power, even if it risks the safety of America. Let them enrich uranium. We want to get elected. War's bad, looks bad politically. And that's exactly what she said. And there's no reason to go. There was no reason to go to war. And Donald Trump campaigned on no more foreign wars. He campaigned on no more frivolous foreign wars. Sometimes they're necessary. If someone is committing crime out on the street somewhere and you're in your house safe with your children, you could make an argument, they're not affecting my family, my children. I'm not going to do anything about it. Although you might want to call the authorities, notify other nations. But you could argue that, hey, my children, my family, that's what I'm concerned about. Hands off. I'm not the police of Knoxville, not the police of Tennessee, although the governor should be. Bill Haslam should have been. He wasn't. He caused people to get killed by allowing me to be taken off the road. His life is in more danger because of what he did. How stupid is that man? And he's wanting to tell you who to elect to government office so that they can keep their power, lead in power, regardless of public safety. He doesn't care about public safety. And he's even smart enough to figure out that he's putting his own self at risk by what he did. He thinks if he wears a seatbelt, he'll be okay. Yeah, I mean, they're just crazy people. Insanity. So Donald Trump ran on no more frivolous foreign wars. And if you're in your house, crime going on the streets, hey, you're safe at home, that's fine. You could say, leave it alone. And I get that, but what about when they break in your door? Or when they have plans to break in your door and they're building a weapon to knock down your door, come in your house and kill your family? Then do you wait until they're kicking your door down? Or do you meet them when they're coming up the driveway and say stop, and if they keep charging, then and get to your doorway and get in, and they're in your house and you're ready with the finger on the trigger, and when they come in your door, then you pull the trigger. And that the time to act is then. Comparatively, they were building a trigger to blow up America. And we shouldn't protect the political parties. So her arguments fail. She's a traitor, and I would hate to be in her shoes. I'd hate to be in her shoes, because I will bless them that bless you in the Bible, according to the nation of Israel, according to the Bible, talking about the nation of Israel. And America standing arm in arm with Israeli soldiers fighting to protect Israel, blessing America and blessing the nation of Israel. So this is a time to rejoice. This time of war is a time to be happy. It's not a time to be sad. And I know there are sadness to this, American bodies coming back, but 7 soldiers compared to potentially millions and millions of Americans and cities being bombed by nuclear weapons of devastation is a small price to pay. And those soldiers agreed to that price. And their families have sacrificed, and they will be blessed. And that's hard. I've seen that. I know family members of dead American soldiers, and I thank them for their service and sacrifice too. And it's hard. It's very hard, but war is worth it in some instances, and in this it is, because 7 American soldiers, and maybe some more, unfortunately, I pray for the protection of our soldiers and Americans, and may God bless Israel, maybe some more, but it's well worth the effort, because it has to be done. We have no choice. We had no choice. And war's a good thing. Similarly, in America, it's a time of political war. A time of political war in America, as declared by elected official Andy Ogles, fighting the Tennessee judiciary. He declared war on the judiciary, elected official, and I couldn't declare war. And it is a symbolic, it's a political war, not a war of attrition and a war of messaging, pointing out their evil, not a war of violence and bullets, a war to resist their violence and bullets, because that's what they do. They're very violent people in the government. That's why we need to fight them. And even Andy Ogles declared war because of their releasing violent people onto society. So they're committing violence by proxy. Now, these judges are some violent people. I've seen some violence that they've tried to engage in and warned them about as I'm running for office, pointed out they better keep their damn hands off me. Sent out messages, signed them to the agencies of the government, the judiciary. Don't try to hurt me. You're allowed to campaign. Go spread all the lies you want to. You spread them every day in judicial fake rulings, and spread all the lies you want to. But I have a right under our Constitution to spread the truth about the judiciary. And it can make you mad all day long. You better lump it if you don't like it, because I don't like your lies and judicial rulings that carry the weight of law that are damn dirty lies. So, and I've told them, you better leave me alone. So they're violent. They're very violent people in the Tennessee government. And I haven't been shy about pointing that out, because I'm not running somewhere and hiding. I'm saying, look, y'all are violent. This is what you did. I acted peacefully, and this is what you did violently. And I'm well aware of it, and 2.3 million Tennesseans are. They would like to assassinate me. They would like to take me out. This may be your last stand, your last chance to fight justifiably, politically, through attrition and through messaging, nonviolent, in the state of Tennessee, to regain power, to protect us from their violence and their dirty lies. It is that serious. It is that serious. It is a time for war. You shouldn't go to war, even this political war, without cause. If things were going great in the government, I wouldn't run. I wouldn't be fighting this fight. It's not. It's not. It's horrific. It's horrible. Andy Ogles declared it, and we're the soldiers, and you're the generals and the leaders that are guiding this political war against the elite establishment led by former Governor Bill Has-Been, the gluttonous power monger, the crook that got his money off exploitation. We're leading this fight against the elite billionaire liars that represent a small portion of elite people in Tennessee, and you can tell who they are because of who their daddy is and what kind of powerful positions they get in the government. We're going to talk about that. They control the courts against you. They control the government. They control the government agencies. They control the Tennessee Highway Patrol, the government law enforcement agency. They use force against you unlawfully and against the Constitution. And we'll show you exactly how they do that. And that's what this fight is about. It's not about using force against them. Don't use violence against them. Use our best weapon is prayer. It's not our only weapon, that's our best weapon. Pray in the name of Jesus. And I pray today in Jesus' name that he will protect me and all Tennesseans and help us advance this political movement, voters of truth enraged, and turn it into voters of truth encouraged, voters of Tennessee enraged. And so I pray in Jesus' name to protect us and help this movement. That's our first, most powerful weapon. And you can have 100 people, 10,000 people say that doesn't work. And I don't believe it for half a second. It does work. It's very powerful. It's what they don't have. God doesn't hear their prayers. They worship idols. They worship one real big idol. It's called money. It's called power. I don't worship money and power. When I had power, I used it for good. I used it to help Tennesseans. I used it for one of the most important purposes that a government, its primary function is to provide for public safety. I did that better than anybody. I know their lies. I'm well aware. It don't make any sense or hold any water, just like we shouldn't be over in Iran protecting us from nuclear annihilation. That's as clear as a bell, plain as day. The battle lines are set. It's between us and the political elite, represented by on the news, advertising, campaigning for his elites, the former governor, Bill Has-Been, that controls the political power in all of Tennessee, claims to be a Republican, but hates Republicans. I mean, look at the positions he's taken. Look over on the closed down bridge with Mr. Bill Haslam, standing arm in arm with a Democrat. There's no difference in Democrats and Republicans. They're all power mongers. It's the mass populace of citizens in the state of Tennessee versus you and me versus the party elite. And we're going to take a wrecking ball to that party elite. And we're going to try to get viable, to be recognizable, to do more than just register on the scale and win public power in the state of Tennessee. Now, they say we cannot do that. Their rules say we can't. They've already smashed us in several elections. Although we have registered and we're making headway, we have scored, we've got attention, and we've done more in the past few months, past 6 months, 2.3 million people that we have talked to, and more, going up on 2.5 million here in just a few days, and gaining. So we've got a large messaging outlet, so help us get viable by spreading this media outlet. See if we can get across the road here. So we've got a huge messaging outlet. Attrition, we've kept after it, we're not quitting. And we've got a huge messaging outlet, 2.3 million people. Some instances more than the local news media, 57,000 people on numerous shows we broadcast to the world and Tennesseans. So we've got more output on some days than some local news channels without a huge story writing, without huge fancy cameras, with somebody that has lived through oppression, that knows about government corruption from experiencing it and is still standing, and that's not part of the party elite that's willing to fight the party elite for you. And so we need to get appearance of the mass populace of Tennessee, and that's, the onus is on me. The onus is on us. So like and share, that helps get the message out, and contribute if you can. Money helps. And I hate to say it, I hate to ask, but money helps. But we can get more money if we appear more viable, more of a potential opportunity to win. And right now, it's not there. And that is my fault. That is correctable. And we're correcting that every day. Every new person that watches this show corrects it just a little bit. We just need enough to tip the scales to get on the radar enough to appear possible of winning this election in Tennessee, the governor's race. I'm on the ballot. It's more than a lottery ticket, but we're there. You check the box. You can check it in November and win against the political party elite that would rather risk the sovereignty and safety of Tennesseans and their power than do things that will help the mass population and may not keep them in power. Like they're talking about in Iran. We shouldn't have went to war against Iran because it makes it hard for people, the political Republican Party, to stay in power. I could care less if they stay in power. What matters more is the safety and protection of Tennesseans and Americans and people around the world against a rogue regime. If it makes the political people be less likely to get reelected, well, damn them, because it even endangers them. They're not going to have a country to have power over. I mean, that's how stupid they are. And they're not going to have a state to have power over if we keep maintaining the status quo of the Republicans, the Republicans, and the Democrats that are not really Republican and Democrat. They are part of a party elite, and we're taking a wrecking ball to them. So welcome, welcome. Come on in. This is Charles Van Morgan, the Charles Van Morgan Show. As you can see the welcome sign, and broadcasting live. We are talking about taking a wrecking ball to the party elites and taking it directly to the governor's race. Vote for an independent. So welcome, welcome. There's our little welcome sign. And got a bunch of notes. We're going to weigh in on the sheriff's race and talk to you all about the Knox County Sheriff's Department. I know that's local, and your local sheriff's race is going on, but I know personally about the Sheriff's Department in Knox County, and I know a little bit about sheriff's departments all across the state because I trained with them when I was in the academy in 1990, and I know how they think. And I also was on the road as a state trooper, worked several counties, worked right here in Knox County, and know how crooked the Knox County Sheriff's Department is. They need to fight crime, absolutely, positively. They need to start fighting the crime within the agency first, because there's a lot of criminal activity within the agency. So, when I was a Tennessee state trooper, we had people in the jail, deputy sheriffs, that made false complaints about me. A corrections officer alleged falsely, as crazy as it is, and just think if they'll do this to a Tennessee state trooper on the job, what the Knox County Sheriff's Department corrections officers and deputies will do to you. Not all of them, not all of them. There's some good, great deputies. And we're going to talk about some of the stuff that they have done wrong that you need to know about, that puts my life at risk, because they're vengeful, nasty, a lot of nasty, dirty people that will try to retaliate against me. And, you know, I'm not a pushover. I survived law enforcement for 18 years. Any deputy that feels giddy that wants to step on the blood of soldiers and prevent me from my constitutional right to speak out against the sheriff's department, then go ahead and make my day, because I will defend myself. I don't give a damn who you are. You have no right to act rogue behind a badge. That makes it worse, and some of them will. But go for it if you feel giddy. You know, may the best man be left standing, that'd be me, because I have no ill will to wish you dead or deceased, and I know some of them like to kill me. Some Knox County Sheriff's deputies like to see me dead. Maybe some of them running for sheriff right now, because I'm gonna tell you what I think about them. And I know they're vengeful, because one of them even said, back years ago, when I was on the road with Highway Patrol, there was a vote out to raise the pay for sheriff's deputies on the ballot, and I voted then, because I know better now, to raise their pay, because I was in the system, hadn't learned what I learned now. You know, some hard life lessons. I'm not just a politician that talks about fighting corruption. I've been through it. Know a little bit more than these political people that know that it's popular to say you're going to fight government corruption. But none of them have ever lived through it like me. And I'm not afraid of these people. I'm afraid of God, and God expects me to speak the truth to power. That's my forte. That's what I'm here for. So I told that deputy that I voted for their raise to let him know I supported the sheriff's department. And I did. They do a very difficult job, and a lot of them deserve a raise, but the whole department doesn't deserve a tax increase to fund what they do, because they don't do what they should do, a lot of them, and it needs to be pay for performance, not pay across the board. So when I told the deputy that, he said, well, it's good that it passed, that they got a pay raise. And they usually do every time they ask for it, which is kind of crazy. How about base it on performance, about the safety of the public, about crime statistics that they have direct control over, that they don't do hardly anything about, that they support the party elites and not the mass populace of Knoxvillians and Knox Countyans. And that's the way it works all across the state of Tennessee, I believe. So he said that it's good that that passed, because if it hadn't, that's what a deputy said, that they were going to start writing tickets like you wouldn't believe had it not passed for them a pay raise. They were going to be harsh as hell and mean as hell, and pay back people for not voting for a raise, and get it anyway through the back door through tickets and fines. So, and that was told to me when I was a trooper, and I was thinking, wow, you know, well, that's not right. But I thought it was kind of funny then, but I don't think it's funny now, because he really meant it. And they really mean that to you. If you don't give them a raise, they're gonna be mean as hell. And I know they'll lie, cheat, rob, and steal, because they do right now, and I'm gonna tell you how. So when I was a trooper, they made a complaint against me because I had to get off their hind end, and they had to work because I was cleaning up the roads from dangerous people. And they didn't like having to work, bringing people in the jail that were dangerous to themselves and others. Look at the ones I couldn't catch, if you don't believe that. And they blame their actions on me. Wow. I wasn't like one of the troopers that's drunk on the job, that fights the government and gets their job back, even when they're drunk. I was the one that didn't deserve what they handed out, and I'm not taking it. And that's why I'm doing this right now, because I was out protecting you then, I'll protect you now against them. So they made a complaint against me, a corrections officer, and we need to pay them more when they do stuff like this. Made a false complaint against me. Let's get across the road here. That I pulled the gun on them in the Sally Port at the Sheriff's Department. Now that's what the complaint was. Wrote on paper, a corrections officer. Now they deserve a raise. Now, why would I do that? The fact is I didn't, but that's what was written in the complaint, turned in to a lieutenant at the Sheriff's Department, that I'd pull the gun out on him, threaten him in the Sally Port. No, that's not true. I did not do that. I'm not crazy. They are. Some of them are. That complaint, for somebody to write that is so horrifically horrible. Now what happened is, a lieutenant at the Sheriff's Department seen the complaint and said, nope, get back to the lady, I'm not forwarding that. And you could have seen, which he did wrong, he should have took it in and investigated her for lying, filing a false police report. Now, you could tell it was false. They record in the jail. They could have pulled the tapes right then. When did he do that? And let's pull the tapes and look. I didn't do that. That's not true. That's an absolute total lie. I followed their policies when I went into the Sally Port at the jail. They were upset at me because I brought somebody in the jail that cussed me, threatened my family, that tried to push every button to get me to do something stupid, like punch them in the face so they could get money off taxpayers for me violating their constitutional rights and cruel and unusual punishment. But I wouldn't do that. I knew what he was doing, but it still makes you mad when they tell you they'll find your family and kill your family. That still makes you mad, but you can't punch them for that. That's what they're wanting. Trying to push your button, get you to do something stupid. Now, some officers do. Watched one the other day where the officer, just yesterday, where an officer let a guy get to him and punched him while he was handcuffed, and probably shouldn't have done that. And shouldn't have done that, I'll say. But I didn't do that. A little smarter than your average bear, and I didn't do that. That's crazy. That's what they're wanting you to do. There's other things you can do about it, like when they go to court and they're pleading not guilty, want to get out of the crime, you can mention to the district attorney or their attorney that they said that you didn't appreciate that, and you want an apology, or you want them to do more jail time for threatening you. There's other ways to deal with it. You start getting violent and lose your temper and do something stupid, and you're likely to find yourself in federal prison and taxpayers having to pay a lot of money for your lack of self-control. It's all about self-control. So I brought that guy in the jail, and let's get across the road here. And he was threatening my family, arresting for drunk driving. He was under the influence of narcotics and driving, and on Kingston Pike. I called it Drinking Pike. If I couldn't find a drunk driver, and that was my job assigned to road patrol at night, trying to find violators, that people driving dangerously, and mostly I focused on drunk drivers because they cause more fatalities than any other single cause of wrecks. And I was taking him to jail, and he starts threatening my family, saying he'll find my family, kill my kids. And, it gets you hot under the collar. So, I was going to talk to his attorney and talk to the district attorney about what he was saying, not work any deals or give him any breaks. I didn't punch him in the face. But my intent was to get him to the sheriff's department, get him to the jail as quick as possible, and get rid of him. No one wants to listen to that stuff. But I didn't do anything wrong. Got him to jail. And the Knox County Sheriff's Department, and there's a race coming up, got him out the jail, and the jail employees got him out, opened the door, and they were patting him down in the Sally Port. And while they were getting him out, you got to put your gun in the back of the trunk and lock it. So I did that. Not pointing at anybody, putting it in the trunk. That was their policy. That's what they asked you to do. So I complied with what they did. They got him out of the car, got him on the wall to pat him down. He sits down on the little sidewalk they got there in the Sally Port at the detention facility out in northeast Knox County. And he said that he didn't feel good, which, I didn't really feel good about what he was telling me. So they brought a nurse out and checked his blood pressure and said his blood pressure was a little high, so they couldn't take him in the jail. So they wanted to put him back in my car and for me to take him to the hospital. And I told them that after what he was telling me about killing my family, killing my kids, my blood pressure was running a little high too, and I asked him to check my blood pressure. Kind of being a little sarcastic, but my blood pressure was pretty damn high, and not medically bad, but I told them I'm not taking him in my car anymore. I'm not listening to that, and what I'll do is I'll call an ambulance, because if he is medically not capable of going in your jail, I'm not a paramedic. Something happens to you in the back of my car, then this department in the state of Tennessee, citizens are responsible for that. I'm not taking that responsibility. If he's not safe enough to go in your jail, I need to call an ambulance. And they said, no, don't call an ambulance. He's going back in your car. And I said, no, he's not. I'm not taking him in my car anymore. And so they try to get him in, and the door's locked. And they unlock the door. No, he's not going back in my car. I'm not listening to that. I told him what he said. They didn't care. They didn't care. And for liability wise, I'm not putting somebody that's about to have a heart attack or their blood pressure so high they don't even take them into jail, that the nurse can't take care of them. I'm not qualified to do that. So I got on my phone and called an ambulance and called 911. So I sent an ambulance to Sallyport, and they sent an ambulance and several fire trucks. You know, when a trooper calls for an ambulance, everybody and their brother calls. I told them I was at the jail. They wouldn't accept a prisoner because they said he had too high blood pressure. So they're sending ambulance and fire department, first responders, and the people at the jail said, no, don't call an ambulance, don't call an ambulance. And I'd already called them. They said, hand us the phone. So I handed them the phone. Spring break must be over. So I handed them the phone. And look at a beautiful view, and I'll finish the story and tell you what happened. So beautiful view here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Beautiful river. It says here, a $2, why are you walking on the street like a hobo, sir? That's $2. Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you for the contribution. I appreciate that. Because they won't let me in the courtroom because they don't like the truth I tell. That's why. So they tried to put him in my car, and I wouldn't. They said, give me your phone, after I called the 911. So I handed them my phone. And I know how to deal with bullies, and they were trying to bully me, trying to put him in the car. I locked the door. Unlock the door. No, I'm not. It's not going back in my car. That's not good for him. It's not good for me, and it's not good for Tennesseans. I'm not a medical person. I'm a trooper and a law enforcement officer. I can't take care of his medical needs. You're the one that says he has them. I need to call them. So they said, hand me the phone. So I handed them the phone. They took the phone and said, don't send an ambulance, don't send an ambulance. And you know good and well, after I've already told them to, they're gonna send it. And they're asking who they are, and they're at the jail. And they hand me back the phone and I said, send the ambulance, send it. And so they send the ambulance, and they got mad at me for standing up to them, like I should have. Not caring that he was threatening my family. You know, the brotherhood, there's no brotherhood in the Knox County Sheriff's Department. It's about power, you know. I wasn't going to overcome their power, even though I couldn't take care of that man's safety, his medical needs. And they had a nurse there that could have dealt with it. And so I needed an ambulance. And I called my supervisor immediately after and told him what happened. And he said, yeah, you did the right thing. You know, you can't put him back in your car. If he dies on the way to the hospital, we're responsible. Sign a warrant and put it on file. And we'll pick him up after he gets out of the hospital. Good job, Mr. Morgan. Good job, Trooper Morgan. Now, that was my sergeant, Bobby Clevenger, at the time. So here's a policeman, or an ambulance. No, that's a policeman. No, that's a fireman. God bless firemen. Everybody loves firemen. Everybody ought to love policemen too. I do. So this is the Knox County Sheriff's Department. I'm telling you how crooked they are. Now, this is about 2011. It's been several years ago. I don't think things have changed, because in part they got what they crooked wanted. So they got into it with me while I'm trying to force the law. They're trying to keep a prisoner from going to jail and refusing for him to have appropriate medical care. And Sergeant Bobby Clevenger said, good job. He said, next time, keep your camera and your video on. Now, I never did do that around other officers. when I pulled in the jail, I knew they had their camera on and their audio on, so I turned mine off. But from then on, I started having to leave my camera turned on because you can't trust the officers at the Knox County Detention Facility at the Sheriff's Department. So, I mean, they're not willing to protect public safety and take in prisoners or allow an ambulance to come pick one up. They want to fight other law enforcement wrongly. That's the Knox County Sheriff's Department. I don't think they've changed. And so I started having to record them and turn my video on when I went in there. So what happened after that is a woman, a corrections officer, made a complaint about that incident saying I pulled the gun out of them. Now they have a video camera of all that. I never pulled the gun out of them. But she tried to turn it into a lieutenant and he rejected it. He should have investigated her for turning in a false complaint. And it never got turned in, but she kept that complaint for years. This is Knox County Sheriff's Department. And then I had a new supervisor, Lionel Russell, come from Nashville and start looking for a reason to get rid of the leading trooper on the road that made him look bad. I made him look bad by showing up to work and doing my job, lowering the fatality rate, and being educated, knowing what the hell I was doing. So he starts endangering my life, making phone calls, and I would tell him I got a car stop, man, I'll call you right back, and he'd say no. So I had to hold the phone while I had a car stop. That's Lionel Russell, who's in the state legislature now. A real piece of work that was so stupid he got himself hurt. And judged by God, I believe so. So here I am. He takes over the shift and starts looking for complaints and complainants to file against me. So he starts looking at a beautiful view. He starts looking. Good day, sir. Hello, Candy Thomas. So he starts, how are you? The #1 DUI cop. Thank you. Yeah, I was. So he starts looking for reasons. See if I can get this set down here. He starts looking for reasons to get rid of me. And doggone it, if he didn't find that woman to make a frivolous complaint against me, and met up with that lady that had made a false complaint that I'd pulled the gun on her. Wow. So she finds him, he finds her, he's looking for reasons to complain on me, looking for reasons to take my job from me. And over a year later, after my supervisor, Bobby Clevenger, a great man, great supervisor, he's retired now, tried to help me get my law license. He went to another county, transferred because Lieutenant Kimberly Ogle, a rogue, crooked line lieutenant, took over the shift, and she started causing trouble with him. So he was nice. He just transferred away from her, which I tried to do also. And so Lionel Russell takes over the shift, and he takes her complaint that a lieutenant at the Sheriff's Department had originally turned down over about 3 years later, and of course, the camera and everything gone then. So he starts investigating this complaint. It calls me in, and I have to answer to it. And none of that happened. I didn't pull a gun on anybody in the jail in the Sheriff's Department. Completely ludicrous complaint. And if you think about it, if she's saying, a corrections officer is saying what she's saying about a Tennessee state trooper in the performance of his duties, lowering the fatality rate, what lies is she telling about people in that jail, about inmates? And they're going to believe her. Fortunately, I had credibility, and I answered the complaint, and it was unfounded, which she should have been criminally charged. with what she was saying about me. And that paperwork is out there. If I ever get in the governor's office, we'll find it and see if she's still in the governor, see if she's still in the sheriff's department, and see how far the statute of limitations goes back and try her for her fraud and endangering the public. And so that's how the sheriff's department is. They have liars in the jail and liars in deputy sheriffs. So their warrants department has someone who's lied on police reports. Their warrants department killed somebody in their house, in their bed, about 5 miles from my house. Knocked down somebody's door, went in their house, shot and killed them. And their warrants department, there's the sheriff's department now, Knox County Sheriff's Department. And their warrants department has a deputy now that retired from the Tennessee Highway Patrol who wrote a report against me that he lied. And their warrants department killed somebody about 6 miles from my house. And they claim that they didn't do anything wrong. And I know they have a liar, at least one liar in the warrants department. So you tell me. I mean, they need to fight the crime. Whoever sheriff needs to fight the crime inside the Knox County Sheriff's Department before they can ever fight crime in the public. It's a totally criminal department. Now, I like Sheriff Spangler. I think he's a Christian man. I think he's not strong enough to run the Sheriff's Department, has done a very good job. And there are candidates running, and I'm gonna tell you who I think we should vote for in the Knox County Sheriff's Department. So Lionel Russell investigated that, brought that false accusation up 3 years later. It was dismissed in my favor. He went on to try to find more stuff. And I could be driving down the road in my patrol car for the State Highway Patrol looking for drunk drivers. And we had access scan radios to the Knox County Sheriff's Department so that we could hear what was going on. Like if they had a car that just robbed a bank and they put out the description, so if we stopped a car that matched that description, we'd know that they were armed and dangerous and just robbed a bank, or that they just robbed a convenience store. So I would scan their channel, and they knew that, and they would get on their channel, and most of it was done late at night when some of their supervisors weren't on duty, and they would run down the Tennessee state troopers, run down me and other troopers on their radio, putting that garbage out over the radio. Real professional department, right? That's so very unprofessional, using their radio at the Sheriff's Department to run down other law enforcement agencies. And they already made a false, frivolous complaint. I was in Union County one night, got a call from the Sheriff's Department, lazy deputies. They had a wreck on John Sevier Highway, which is a state road. They got ink and paper too. They can work wrecks, and there's only one trooper out at night in 5 counties most nights. And they called me from another county, Union County, all the way to Knox County to work a wreck, a simple wreck on John Sevier Highway, where a lady had drove off the road on a straight road, drove off the road, not even a curve, and hit a tree head on, and she was fine, but she broke her passenger's arm. So it was a wreck involving serious bodily injury. So they sat there in their car, it was in the wintertime, under their heat, could have worked the wreck time I got there, and waited for probably 45 minutes for me to get from Union County all the way to John Sevier Highway. Sat there and waited, and probably playing on their cell phone, listening to the radio. And so I came to work the wreck, got out of the car, and one of the sheriff's deputy told me what happened. The lady went off the road, hit a tree. So I got my little report out and started talking to the lady. She had an odor of alcoholic beverage on her breath. She wasn't steady on her feet, had bloodshot eyes, and I could tell, and she admitted to drinking some wine earlier, she said. So I started giving her field sobriety test, standardized field sobriety test. And the deputy said, no. Now, he called me to work direct. Now he's going to tell me how to work it. Knox County Deputy Sheriff. He said, no. He said, I've already tested her. She's fine. And I said, you gave her a sobriety test. And he said, and I wouldn't take his word for the sobriety test anyway. He said, no, but she's fine. He didn't want me to test her for DUI. I don't know why. But so I said, okay, that's fine. If you don't think she's drunk, here. And I handed him my report. You know, if you don't think she's drunk, you mark that where she's not. If I'm going to work, I didn't tell him that, but I'm going to work direct. I'm going to do it myself. And he said, no. I said, well, then I need to determine that for myself, please. Thank you. So I started giving her a sobriety test. She was obviously drunk, and the Knox County Sheriff's Department was going to cover for that. And that is a felony DUI because she hurt her passenger, serious bodily injury. So he was covering for a felony DUI. Didn't want me to do sobriety test. That's the Knox County Sheriff. Waited over, almost an hour for me to get from another county over. I'm glad I worked it because I had a not. She would have been out driving a car, another car, maybe hurt somebody else or herself the next time. Wow. So they don't even enforce the law. Lazy and don't enforce the law. That's your average Knox County Sheriff's deputy. That's just the truth. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. Now, they could retaliate against me. Go for it, because I'll defend myself. You better not violate my constitutional rights, any sheriff's deputy in Knox County or anywhere in the state. Now, I've had them threaten me. If you don't like what I say, then you stand up and call me a liar or deny what I'm saying, bring evidence, or refute me. Say whatever you want to. You start trying to hurt me, and you're walking on dangerous constitutional ground, and it might not work out for you the way you think, because I don't give a damn who you are. I got a constitutional right to say what I'm saying. If you don't like it, you use your constitutional rights. You try to hurt me, and I'll defend myself. That's all that needs to be said. I'm not afraid of you. And you're stepping on the blood of soldiers. That gives me a right to speak out against you. You all speak in your favor all the damn time. You got the weight of the legitimacy of the badge in the sheriff's department. Go with it. I don't agree with you. I'm allowed not to. If you don't like what I say, lump it. Got that? Now that's all I need to say. It'll be a bad day for you. I can guarantee you, I don't care who you are. And this is for your safety and protection too. Drunk drivers can hit you too, idiots, and sometimes they do. Now, not all sheriff deputies are bad. There's some very good ones, and I applaud you. Thank you for what you do, and I'm on your side. Some of them need to be weeded out of the hellhole of the sheriff's department, because that's what the hell it is. And I'm just telling you. So I arrested her and charged her with felony DUI, which was she's bad drunk, not even a question about that. So of all the people running for sheriff in Knox County, and I'll say this, every one of them is for a raise for them people. Every one of them, the Republicans, are saying that they would raise taxes, and they're for raising taxes to fund and pay deputies more when they're not doing their job in the first place. Pay deputies more for what? To call troopers from a county over to work a wreck that they were going to let somebody get by with. That's fortunate that they are letting the other agencies work wrecks because of the fact that, let me get this. Okay, excuse me, because of the fact that they won't work the wreck right anyway. Hello. So, because of the fact that they won't work the wreck the way it should be worked. So maybe if another officer is willing to do what they should do, they shouldn't be working wrecks if they're not willing to do that. Now, there's some deputies that will. But every one of the candidates are talking about raising taxes. They're in favor of that, to raise the pay for sheriff deputies. Now, I'm not in favor of that at all. I'm in favor of raising the pay, taking away from some of the other ones, raising the pay for deputies that do their job, and there are a few that do. So I have a few people I know in the sheriff's department that are good people, and they have told me, inside information, the person to vote for that I would suggest, even though I would ask him not to raise taxes to pay those people, readjust the pay based on performance. The man that I would endorse for Knox County Sheriff, although I don't agree with his position on raising pay for some of the undeserving deputies, is David Auburn, the chief of detectives in the sheriff's department, is running. Now, he wasn't running before Chief Bernie Line was running. He's entered the race after, because Bernie Line would have won. Bernie Line was a good man. Bernie Line would be the next sheriff. and he was a very good man, a Christian man. And I thank him for his service. There's some good people in the sheriff's department. So I would vote for David Auburn, who I would recommend for sheriff in Knox County. Now, he hasn't talked to me, I haven't talked to him or anything like that, but I know from inside the people in the sheriff's department, good people in the sheriff's department have said that's who to vote for. I did see him on television just the other day, chief of detectives working a murder out about 7 or 8 miles from here on Chapman Highway in the county at a gas station where somebody was murdered. A family man was murdered, and David Auburn was there working, the chief of detectives working that murder. They did find who did that somebody followed him home, but I seen him stand behind a patrol car on the scene at night doing his job. Now, he wasn't chasing down the cameras, trying to stand out in front of the camera working, trying to win election. He was on the job as a detective working, trying to solve a case. So I appreciate that. That was a good image, and I don't think he was trying to portray that. He was working. So I would publicly endorse David Auburn for sheriff here in Knox County. I think that's our best bet, and hopefully he'll clean up. Hopefully he'll clean up the sheriff's department. So let's talk about the Hamilton County. Now that place needs to be cleaned out. The Hamilton County District Attorney is Cody Womp, and it's the Republican Party, and her brother is the mayor of Hamilton County. So the Republican Party's got that locked up down there. And she's a rogue, crooked prosecutor, tried to prosecute me for running for governor, and I don't go to Hamilton County because of the Republican Party, not the Democrat Party, the Republican Party. So they want to raise the pay here in Knox County, although the pay in Knox County for sheriff deputies is already 80% higher than most retirements for most people in the public. So they're already paid higher than other people, so they need more money. What happened to the days when officers like me used to love to do their job to provide for public safety because they were doing what they felt like was right and just and their God calling, and they had to feed their families, but they would have done it for free if they had another way to feed their families. They would have done it for free. What happened to love of the profession, love of God and humanity, that you serve the public in your official capacity? And instead of offering people a money incentive, they have to have more and more money to do that. We need people that are called and love to do the job out of duty and service to the community, and would love to do the job, enjoy what they do rather than just doing it for the money, which is the problem now. So we're fighting the state in the corruption lived through it several different manners. I'm on the ballot. Here's the ballot listing. Charles Van Morgan, I'll be on the ballot in 2026 this year. And we also have a lawsuit against the state of Tennessee. Here's their rogue motion to dismiss that I will answer in the next few days by the state attorney general is fighting the citizens of Tennessee, trying to keep me out of a courtroom representing you. So, and we're also on this YouTube channel speaking out against people in government power right now. So we're looking to maybe get a van with advertisements on the side and travel the state. We looked at a van yesterday, and I told these people I would advertise for them. Very nice people. Jason Lewis at Knoxville Super Center and John Govanis at Knoxville Super Center. Very nice people. So if you need a vehicle, they're very kind, nice to me. I ended up not buying one there. Still looking. But those are very nice people. I told them I'd advertise for them. And if you want an advertisement, then call my number. Email me at charlesvanmorgan@gmail.com and for a reasonable price, we'll advertise for you on the channel. So we need to be, in order to get elected, we need to, and get public support, we need to appear viable, that where people will start believing that we can win. And let me show you, when Barack Obama didn't want to hide that. Let me show you. I'm an American citizen. I have an American birth certificate. So I'm one of y'all. That can't be said about all people in public power. Here's one of them that's not an American, that doesn't have an American birth certificate, but's in a position of power. Now he's a lieutenant in the THP. And so that's what we're fighting, the takeover of this country by people who don't belong here, and trying to change this to where this is American ethics ratings of 23 professions are at or below recent levels. Please tell me how you would rate the honesty and ethical standards of people in these different fields. Very high, high, average, low, or very low. So the top on the list was nurses. 7th on the list is police officers. People believe police officers. 15th on the list, way down there, is lawyers. And right below that is the governors, state governors. So we're trying to change that, have an honest state governor that's lived through abuse and oppression, that's not just talking about it, changing it, that's lived through it and that's fighting it right now. So in order to have a chance at winning, and which we have a chance, we're on the ballot, 2.3 million people watching the show, 2.3 million people watching the show. We're praying and using other tactics and out campaigning and on the statewide ballot. We're trying to overcome the defamation of people in government power, but we need to appear viable in order to get donations, in order for people to believe that we can actually win. Now we're viable, but we need to show everybody else we are. So if you can like and share, subscribe to the channel, that helps us appear more viable, and also help us get contributions. So in order to appear viable, we need to poll about 5%. If we start polling as independent, an independent in Tennessee's never won. That don't mean it can't happen. That just means it's going to happen. What has never happened is going to eventually happen. A possibility, statistically, probably. So it's a possibility. So we need to start polling about 5%, and then we'll start getting media attention. The media's not covering us now because they have no reason to. They're only going to cover people that might be the governor, and they're only covering three candidates that are inside the government now. They're trying to frame themselves as outside, that are trying to frame themselves as people that fight government corruption, but they're in the government now, and they tell you they're fighting public corruption. I am the story of what happens and been through public corruption, so I'm trained to fight public corruption from experiencing it. I got a story to tell. They don't have a real story. And I have been through public corruption, wrongly terminated by the Highway Patrol while I was out serving you, wrongly denied my law license, and because of public corruption, wrongly blackballed. Well, I was protecting you, and I'm still protecting you by fighting them. So you can help us appear more viable, and the news media will start chasing us down. If you will subscribe to the channel, like and share, and we appreciate the contribution, thank you. And also, if you will contribute to the channel, and also if you will call your friends. Friends calling friends beats bought elections, and these elections are bought by the billionaires. So we don't need a lot right now. We need to build up to about 5% polling, and the news media will start chasing us around. We can decide whether or not we want to talk to them, because right now they won't talk to us, and I don't blame them. We don't appear viable right now. So the onus is on me to get in a position of viability, and on you all. So help me become viable all over the United States, all over the world. talk about this new movement that's against the political parties, against the political elite that controls both Democrat and Republican parties, and for the mass populace of citizens in the state of Tennessee. And we'll start this movement in the volunteer state, move all across the United States of America. In the United States of America, this will affect you too. To hell with the political parties. The battle lines are the elite class versus the mass populace of Tennesseans. We outnumber them. Help us get 5% in the polls by friends calling friends. And when the pollsters call you, mention my name, Charles Van Morgan. That's who you're voting for. That's a candidate. Put my name out there. Get your name on the ballot by mentioning Charles Van Morgan. So tell the pollsters, they'll be calling here, who you for in the governor's race in Tennessee. Tell them Charles Van Morgan. Get us on the polls. Get us ranking. 5%, just a few people telling them Charles Van Morgan gets us registered in the polls at 5%, and that gets us viable, apparent, gives us, we are viable, but gives us more the appearance of viability, will get us more donations that we can put into getting our name out more to benefit you, the populace of Tennesseans, not the political party elite that would sell their soul to the devil for a little power, will endanger themselves for power, just like Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing, saying that we shouldn't go to war to protect the sovereignty and safety of the United States of America because it will hurt the political party. Wow. I could give a rat's ass if it hurts a political party, if it's good for Tennesseans. And we're not part of a political party. I'm not beholden to any millionaires. I'm not bound to High Bills Lee or High Bills Haslam and their millions of dollars and their political gluttony. I am bound, and I promise to protect the safety, well-being, and health of the mass Tennesseans and people across the United States of America, as I've already done and lived through the corruption. I'm a walking story, a fighter, I believe, sent here by God for you, maybe your last stand. So help me appear viable, mention me in the surveys, contribute to the channel. And I did it before, top leading in the state, protecting you, and look what they did to me. And so David Auburn is my choice that I would say to vote for in Knox County, the best chance that we have. And help us be viable. Thanks for the contribution. Continue contributing to the channel. We'll try to have another show tomorrow. And still on the campaign trail, Charles Van Morgan, Unbridled News. And as I always like to say, that as you look at the beautiful view, that God loves you and I do too.